It all began in the dusty corner of an old bookshop, the kind of place that smelled like a mixture of weathered paper and forgotten time. 12-year-old Clara Evans didn't mean to find it. She was only looking for something to read on a rainy Saturday. The map wasn't even on display. It was tucked into a brittle, leather-bound journal with no title. The journal fell off the shelf as Clara reached for a shiny hardcover novel nearby. Bending down to pick it up, she noticed something poking out from inside. A folded piece of parchment so old it looked as though it might disintegrate if touched too roughly. Curiosity got the better of her. Clara carefully unfolded the parchment, her green eyes growing wide with wonder. The paper was covered in swirling ink, depicting islands floating in waters that glinted with what looked like real gold leaf. Strange symbols dotted the edges, some of them glowing faintly. And at the top, scrawled in elegant handwriting, were the words, "Map to Neverland." Clara frowned, more intrigued than anything. Neverland? Like the Peter Pan place? She muttered under her breath. She flipped the map over, half expecting to see an elaborate prank or a copyright notice from some film studio. But the back was blank. Find something special? The bookshop owner appeared behind her, startling her into nearly dropping the map. She was an elderly woman with round glasses and a playful smirk. Sorry, this journal just sort of fell, and this was inside," Clara stammered, holding up the parchment. The shopkeeper adjusted her glasses and peered at it. For a moment, her amused expression faltered, replaced by something deeper, something that looked suspiciously like awe. "Ah, yes," she said softly. "The map to Neverland. It's been waiting." "Waiting for what?" Clara asked, bemused. "For you, child." The shopkeeper's voice was barely above a whisper now. Handing the map back, she added, "But remember, journeys like these come with responsibilities. Neverland is not just a story. It's real, and it's calling you." Clara might have laughed if the woman hadn't looked so serious. Instead, she nodded awkwardly, paid for the journal, and stuffed it into her backpack. Magical maps and strange warnings couldn't compete with the practicalities of catching the next bus home. But that night, sitting cross-legged on her bedroom floor, Clara wasn't so sure about dismissing the shopkeeper's words. A pull, like a barely audible hum, seemed to emanate from the map. When she touched it, she felt warmth, as if it had been resting in the sun instead of hidden in a dim bookstore. "Find the second star to the right," a voice whispered at the edge of her hearing. "Then let the map guide you." Her heart leapt into her throat. "Who's there?" she whispered, glancing around her room. But no one was there, only the paper glowing faintly in her hands. She studied the map closer. At first it seemed like an ordinary drawing, but then the ink shifted. The golden sea shimmered as if its waters were moving. The islands seemed to breathe, their shapes adjusting as if alive. A tiny dotted line appeared, winding its way from a marked red X to the edge of the parchment. She gasped, "It's moving." The whispery voice came again. "Do you believe in magic, Clara?" "No, but this isn't." She paused, shaking her head. "Okay, maybe. What happens if I do?" "What adventure?" she asked hesitantly. Peter stepped forward, his grin widening. "That map of yours, it didn't bring you here for a holiday. It's a summons. Neverland's magic is in danger, and we need your help to save it." Before Clara could respond, a distant roar echoed from deeper within the jungle, punctuated by the sound of wings and shadowy shapes moving swiftly across the horizon. The symbols at the map's edges flared brightly, filling her bedroom with light. Then, without warning, the room itself began to fall away. Her familiar walls disappeared, replaced by the sound of rushing wind and starlight stretching endlessly above her. She clutched the map tightly as she soared upward, weightless, the air humming with an unexplainable energy. That's when she saw it, the second star to the right. Bright and welcoming, it hung in the sky like an old friend, waiting to be greeted. Without knowing how she knew, Clara tilted the map toward it, and the dotted red trail adjusted course, leading her directly through the glow. The next thing she knew, she was standing on soft golden sand. Before her stretched a wild, untouched jungle, its trees glittering faintly in the sunlight. The sea, impossibly blue, lapped gently at her feet. Overhead, birds unlike anything she'd ever seen wheeled and sang in a language that sounded almost like words. Neverland. She barely had time to process it before a rustling in the foliage caught her attention. Her instinct screamed for her to hide, but the massive fronds suddenly parted, to reveal a boy, not much older than she was, with gleaming green eyes and a feather tucked carelessly in his tousled hair. "Well, well," he said with a mischievous grin, leaning against a tree. "It took you long enough." "Who are you?" Clara asked, clutching the map. "Me," the boy chuckled. "You probably already know the answer. I'm Peter Pan, and you, Clara Evans, have just become part of the greatest adventure this island has seen in years." Clara blinked, her heart pounding. Peter stepped forward, his grin widening. "That map of yours, it didn't bring you here for a holiday. It's a summons. Neverland's magic is in danger, and we need your help to save it." "What adventure?" she asked hesitantly. Before Clara could respond, a distant roar echoed from deeper within the jungle, punctuated by the sound of wings and shadowy shapes moving swiftly across the horizon. Peter grabbed her hand, tugging her toward the tree line. "Come on," he said. "We don't have much time." And just like that, Clara Evans found herself whisked away into the heart of the tale she'd always thought was just a story. A tale where she would discover that courage, friendship, and a little bit of belief could unlock the magic of an entire world. But her adventure was only just beginning.